We've had the opportunity to work with many landlords in Santa Cruz. It's been wonderful. I mean, our approach is to be there, to be accessible, to be committed to the success of that veteran, to be a liaison for that landlord, to make sure that they're also being taken care of just as much as we're taking care of that veteran. And so that relationship flourishes instead of
that's a great approach.
degrades.
That's exactly what it should be.
San Francisco, and it's particularly wonderful to be here at this memorial. I'm Bob McDonald. I'm the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. As you know, President Obama has made a bold but attainable goal to end veterans' homelessness by the end of this year. He believes, as I do, that no one has fought for this country should have to fight to have a roof over their head.
Hi, welcome to the BTS Presents Show. I'm your host, Steve Pleich, and today we'll be talking about veterans housing. Before I introduce my guest, let's watch a short clip from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs.
Safe, affordable housing is really critical to anyone. Not knowing what's coming next, not knowing where you can sleep at night, really is a destabilizing factor. Without a fixed address, it's hard to even apply for a job. Think about what we need for our basic lives, and if you don't have an address, P.O. boxes are not acceptable. And for our homeless, having that address and being able to have a place they can call home while they create the lives they want is really important.
I'm really pleased to introduce my guest today, Ingrid Trejo. Ingrid is the Regional Site Director, Central Coast for the Veterans Resource Centers of America. Ingrid, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
You know, we've got a half an hour to cover housing the vets by the end of 2015, which is your initiative and your goal. On a national scale, First Lady Michelle Obama's appearance at the 2014 Homeless Conference announcing the Mayor's Challenge is a video that we'd like to take a look at, and then we'll come back and have a little discussion.
For example, many of you are familiar with the HUD voucher program. Since 2008, we have housed more than 73,000 veterans using these vouchers. That's more than 40 times as many veterans as were housed since the program first began in the 90s. And through the Supportive Services for Veterans Families program, last year alone, we helped prevent more than 60,000 veterans and their family members from falling into homelessness. And next year, we expect that number to grow to 100,000. So we are seeing that with enough resources and the right strategies like housing first, rapid rehousing, we can make huge amounts of progress in a very short period of time. And leaders all across the country are seeing that too. That's why just last month I was proud to host an event at the White House where a collection of 85 mayors, governors, and county officials signed on to the Mayor's Challenge to end homelessness among veterans by the end of 2015. And that's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. And today, I'm equally proud to announce that in the 8 weeks since that event, 97 more city, state, and county leaders have signed on to that challenge. That's a total of 182 communities, more than double our original number. We even got Los Angeles on board, and that's important because they've got more than 6,000 homeless veterans in their city, far more than any city in this country. But Mayor Garcetti in Los Angeles and leaders across the country are signing on to this pledge because they've seen the data and they know that they can create enough housing for every veteran.
Here in California, we have Mayor Lee from San Francisco with an update.
I am proud to announce that San Francisco has met this challenge by committing the resources necessary to house all of our city's chronically homeless veterans by the end of this year. And we have made housing veterans a priority by providing more local resources needed to succeed. I have allocated additional funding from my fiscal year 15-16 and also 2016 and 2017 budget to acquire new supportive housing units needed so we can house all of our city's chronic homeless veterans by the end of this year. We'll continue to build on this success We've received over 200 new project-based vouchers for the coming year through HUD's VASH program, which combines rental assistance from HUD with case management and clinical services provided by the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. This will be able to house even more of our veterans, and by working together, we'll accomplish even more.
This next segment was produced by Keith Gudger from CTV. At the Veterans Resource Center ribbon cutting in San Francisco, California, Congressman Sam Farr pledges to leave no veteran behind.
And let me introduce now our Congressman, Sam Farr, one of the good guys in D.C.
Thank you very much. We got some good gals in D.C. as well, besides just guys. But thank you all for being here. Thank you for being veterans. I'm the Congressman from Monterey, Santa Cruz, and San Benito counties, and a little bit of Santa Clara County, Gilroy. Been in Congress 20 years. I'm on the Appropriations Committee, and I'm the senior, longest-serving member on the Veterans Appropriations Committee. We're the committee that appropriates the money, allows it to be spent by the Department of Veterans Affairs. And what I've been doing is trying to make sure that all politics is local, and that the fact that we put about $11 billion into the state of California from the Department of Veterans Affairs for our VA hospitals and our VA, but mostly for veterans benefits, and that as sort of 1/10 of the entire budget of California, that the state of California has got to own up to its responsibilities for veterans, as well as the federal government and local governments. Our pledge, my pledge when I got on that committee, is to leave no veteran behind. And I try to put money where my mouth is and get it implemented. And I've been very lucky that with the support of the communities, we've been able to break a few rice bowls. We've now, for the first time, really gotten the Department of Defense. I remind the Department of Defense that you can't be a veteran unless you've gone through the Department of Defense first. And therefore, the Department of Defense has a lot more responsibility for what's happening with our veteran community. And at least they can get the files in order and get them electronically recorded. And when the veteran leaves, that ought to be transferred automatically without even asking to the Department of Veterans Affairs. And then the Department of Veterans Affairs have got to be more responsible on the ground.
So Ingrid, how many veterans are there in Santa Cruz County?
Well, from the census data we have from 2009 and 2013, we estimate about 12,000 plus veterans in Santa Cruz County.
And how many in the city, would you say?
We believe there's about 2,000, over 2,000 veterans who live in the city of Santa Cruz.
That's a large number. It's challenging work, and thank you for doing as much good work as you do. How many of the veterans in Santa Cruz County were homeless at the beginning of 2015? Well,
we use point-in-time data to count these individuals, and we count veterans every 2 years. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning of the year, we had about 393 that we estimated were homeless in the city of Santa Cruz.
Okay. And the point-in-time count, as you and I were talking about earlier, is done every couple of years, and it's actually a go out and a physical count. I've been involved with them in the past myself, and it's really a good way to kind of identify sets and subsets of homeless folks in Santa Cruz.
You're exactly right, and we're very lucky that we recently had another point-in-time count here in Santa Cruz County, and we estimate now there's 155 homeless veterans in Santa Cruz County.
Oh, excellent. Okay. So now that was leading into my next question. How many veterans in Santa Cruz County are homeless as of September 1 of this year?
Well, we believe there's 155 homeless veterans right now in the city of Santa Cruz. We're working very diligently right now on creating what we call a functional zero. Oh. Basically making sure that there are more veterans being housed than are becoming homeless in the city. So part of our efforts is to count and track how many veterans are there in the city and how many of them are homeless. And make sure that all of them are offered services and all are offered stable housing.
Wonderful. A few hundred seems to be a very low number, but as explained by First Lady Michelle Obama in this next clip, even one homeless veteran is a shame.
Not even realize that he or she is a veteran.
Maybe we say hello, offer to buy a sandwich, but often we just keep on going, rushing off to the next meeting, burying our heads into our smartphones. It's not that we don't care, it's just that we think, well, there's no way we'll ever solve this problem. That's just the way things go. But that kind of thinking starts to melt away when we better understand the stories of these veterans. The man who lost his arm in Vietnam, and when he and his wife's medical bills kept piling up, they lost their home. The Gulf War vet who injured her back and lost her job and then her house and spent months on the streets. The Army veteran from the Iraq War who survived cancer, but when she and her 2 kids were evicted from their home, they had nowhere to go. These are just 3 stories. Altogether, roughly 58,000 veterans are experiencing homelessness in America today, a number that fortunately has fallen sharply in the past few years. But whatever the number, these brave men and women have served this country with courage and grace. Some volunteered to serve, many others were drafted. They went off to faraway jungles and deserts and mountain regions. They saw their best friends fall in ambush or because of a suicide bomb. Some of them were left wondering why they were the ones who survived. And after all that, too many of them have come home only to fight a new battle, a battle to keep a roof over their head, a battle just to have somewhere to go when it rains. Now, I want to be very clear. The vast majority of our veterans return home in good health and good spirits. They go on to build good families, find good jobs. They keep serving this nation in their communities through their congregations and schools and neighborhoods. In fact, the percentage of veterans who are homeless today is actually just 0.3% of the total veteran population. But even one homeless veteran is a shame.
So Ingrid, how is this project being managed to meet this goal?
Well, no one agency can take on this task. So as part of the Veterans Resource Centers, our job is to make sure that we provide case management, outreach services, and supportive services to every veteran here in Santa Cruz County. But as we all know, resources are limited. We have to work as a partnership, specifically the Homeless Action Partnership of Santa Cruz, headed by one of our county representatives, Julie Conway and Tony Gardner.
Julie, yeah.
And there are also other community partners who are part of this partnership, such as the Homeless Services Center, the Pajaro Valley Shelter Services, the 180-2020, Smart Solutions. There are many groups that are part of the Homeless Action Partnership, and we're working together in concert to identify all of the individuals who are homeless in Santa Cruz County and make sure that they have a touchstone, make sure there's no wrong door, and that we coordinate our efforts to make sure that they have services.
And it's interesting, we were talking about one element of this is outreach to the landlords, so they get the landlords to consider accepting the Section 8 housing vouchers for veterans.
That's exactly right. There's actually a subcommittee as part of the Homeless Action Partnership called the Landlord Outreach Work Group. And as part of that work group, we get together and we are actually right now exploring all of the different possibilities of incentivizing landlords and making sure we have very strong relationships with landlords so that they will be willing to house the individuals that we recommend to them.
And that's terrific. I think that's so essential to the overall success of the initiative. Here again is Congressman Sam Farr in Santa Cruz at the Resource Center.
Veterans Affairs. And I want to just applaud the City of Santa Cruz because they reached out with a nonprofit to set up this center to provide all kinds of services: homeless prevention, employment training, transitional housing and permanent supportive housing, behavioral health treatment, nutrition services, case management, and we're going to make sure that all the gaps are filled, so indeed, at the end of the day, we can proudly say, in our region, no veteran is left behind. Thank you very much.
From the VA in Portland, here's a video to explain HUD-VASH and how it works with community partners.
HUD-VASH the nation's largest program to house homeless veterans, involves a partnership between VA and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. VASH stands for Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing. VA's Mike Boyd, supervisor of Portland's HUD-VASH program, says networking with community partners has become an essential part of helping veterans meet ancillary expenses that HUD-VASH vouchers may not cover, things like security deposits and home furnishings.
A lot of these vets don't have resources, don't have the financial means to even pay for that amount.
It's a problem in many communities, but a particularly acute one in Portland, where a competitive housing market means that when suitable housing units become available, potential renters need to act quickly.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. So what's really needed is some sort of flexibility fund that we can access to help them compete with those other people that do have the financial resources to pay for an application fee.
To meet that need, community partners including the City of Portland, the United Way, and VA all chipped in to establish such a fund. Additional local partners contributed in a variety of creative ways.
One is an organization called Join, which serves the homeless population in Portland. They have, at their own expense, agreed to take the money that has been pooled, this flexible funds, and organize it, distribute it, manage it, so that we can call them on the same day and get a check cut and get that to a landlord, all within a period of hours.
And because Join is small, it's very easy for us to do that. So we were able to support the VASH workers by making those resources available to them quickly on a much quicker basis than they might have been able to working through another entity.
The effect of that effort has been nothing short of remarkable.
So Ingrid, what are the challenges to fulfillment of this really wonderful goal that you have?
Well, in Santa Cruz, we've been very fortunate to be able to touch the lives of over 350 people through the SSVF program. And as part of that program, our goal is to house and stably house our veterans. One of the barriers that we're facing, though, is affordable housing and making more relationships with landlords who are willing to rent to our veterans. So part of our challenge right now is to make sure that we can have more landlords reach out to us and let us know that they have vacancies so that we can house every veteran in Santa Cruz County. And that, for us, is our biggest challenge. That's the only thing that will prevent us from meeting our goal in this year, at the end of December.
And I know one of the things that has been helping you to fulfill this goal is our own Mayor Lane and his challenge to house homeless vets.
Oh yes, Mayor Don Lane has a wonderful group, the Smart Solutions Group, who has a subcommittee who's working specifically on housing issues. The County of Santa Cruz has a landlord outreach work group who's working on this, and all of the community partners have identified this as an issue that we're working together on. And what we're trying to do is make sure that as community partners, we're reliable, we're available, and we're advocating for our landlords and making sure that every placement that we make is a successful one. And for us, we define success as a good, healthy relationship between the landlord and tenant, where the landlord can make requests that are being met, the tenant can voice their concerns, and they can both live together in long term.
And I've seen their excellence firsthand at the White House. We have folks on our policy teams, our military aides, our Navy mess staff. They are some of the sharpest, most dynamic, and most effective people I have ever had the pleasure of working with. So when these men and women come home, they have got the skills that any company in America should want. And they're more than prepared to succeed in any career or at any school they choose. But too often, that transition back to civilian life presents all kinds of challenges and obstacles. Just try putting yourselves in their shoes for just a moment. After spending your entire life in service to your country, on a military base or in combat, you come home to a very different way of life. The friends who've been by your side every minute are suddenly spread out all across the country, and there's nobody around who understands what you've been through. The missions that drove you every day are gone. The skills you spent years developing are not valued or understood in the civilian world. I met a young man who served 5 years in the Navy, managing a team of sailors and dealing with complicated data and equipment. But in the 2.5 years after he came home, he went through dozens of rejections before UPS recognized his management skills and gave him a job.
So Ingrid, what additional resources do you need to really make this goal a reality?
Well, we need the support of landlords. They can call us at 831-477-7873. You can also visit our website, www.vetsresource.org, to find more information and be a part of this great effort, this historic effort to end veteran homelessness. We would also appreciate financial support so we can help our veterans in their journey to stability and making sure that they have housewares, clothes for interviews. And of course, we would always appreciate the time of a volunteer.
Here's a success story from LA where Eddie Ogletree worked with the VA and the VASH program.
I didn't want to keep doing the same old stuff. I didn't want to use. I didn't want to keep on being homeless. I didn't want to keep going down that same road.
I think Mr. Ogletree is exactly what we want to see in the program. He just really utilized the resources. He got himself clean and then was referred to the HUD-VASH program for housing. He's just been, just really hardworking and really dedicated to improving his life.
Eddie had been working on Skid Row for a number of years, but he was looking for a change, and he got hooked up with our employment services at the VA, and almost immediately this opportunity with Brandy came up.
Randy Lozano, the owner of 5th Street Market, came to us looking to hire a veteran, and so we established a recruitment. We let our treatment team know that an employer in the downtown LA area is looking to hire a veteran. And we put together about 10 veterans or so who all interviewed for the position. Mr. Ogletree was on time and very prepared for the interview. He worked very closely with his treatment team, worked very closely with his voc rehab specialist, and ended up getting the job.
I found that how the VA approaches this to be really comforting, actually. The process of vetting and finding the right guys that would fit, or women, that would fit with what we were trying to do makes it a lot easier to hire veterans. I have a brother that served and is having his struggles. I know I can't fix him, and there's a lot of people I can't fix, but I'm a job creator. And I know that given opportunity, a lot of people can fix themselves. Eddie takes that idea to the max. I mean, really to the max. He does not just show up. He shows up early. He makes sure everything's buttoned up and dialed in, ready to go when that open sign flips over.
When we're working with employers, I talk about our veterans' strengths and the training they have, the military experience they have, oftentimes extensive education, years of experience, and all of those kind of military values that they can bring to the table: leadership, dedication, motivation, and usually that will sell hiring a veteran.
I know that I deserve the best. We all deserve the best, but you gotta work hard at it. Sometimes you gotta work harder than you think you do. And I love bringing home a paycheck, being able to pay my bills, being able to pay my way. When I was out there homeless, I didn't care about none of that, you know what I'm saying? And that was many years ago because I stayed on this right path for so long, okay? I can't let nothing, no one take me from this path.
Eddie's a success story here because he's committed to himself. He really wants to improve the quality of life that he lives. He wants to know that that paycheck was earned and it's his, and he really shows it. He acts that way, he works that way.
You have to want to change your life. You have to want to seek a new career. If you have to seek employment full-time, get your benefits. I mean, you have to want to change your life. That's very important, because if you're not ready for it, you're not going to succeed. You have to want to change.
So Ingrid, what's happening with the actual numbers?
Well, as part of our community planning efforts, we want to enhance our outreach by making sure that we've identified every homeless individual in the county. But as you can imagine, it's very difficult, especially with the transient nature of homelessness.
Of course.
People are coming in and out of the county all of the time. So one of our big pushes is to search our homeless management information system, the HMIS system, and identify every individual who's already been served to make sure that they're still stably housed. So we were able to cull a list of 1,100 people, and we identified 453 of those people as veterans. Now, our next step is to make sure that all of our community partners are adding who they're serving, or if they've encountered anybody on the street who's homeless, who's a veteran.
And approximately how many housing vouchers have been distributed to date, do you know?
I believe there's 277 vouchers in Santa Cruz County.
And are there housing vouchers still available that are going to be distributed by the end of the year in Santa Cruz County?
Yes, there are. We believe there's about 60 vouchers in Santa Cruz County.
All right. Do you know what it costs to house a homeless person? Here's First Lady Michelle Obama again with an answer to that question.
One chronically homeless person can cost communities between $30,000 to $50,000 per year in emergency room visits, medical bills, law enforcement. For some individuals, it can be even higher. But the cost to give someone a home of their own is only about $20,000. So this makes sense on so many different levels.
Ingrid, it's been lovely having you here. Any last words for our viewers? Ingrid, do you have a few parting words for us as we go out?
Well, I want to thank everyone here, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about ending veteran homelessness. It's a historic moment here in Santa Cruz County to be able to end veteran homelessness by the end of this year. It's a travesty and a tragedy to have one homeless veteran out on the streets.
Thank you for all the great work that you are doing, and we know that it'll be a terrific success and you'll accomplish your goal by the end of the year. Thanks so much for watching this edition of the BTS Present Show. As we go out, let's listen to Mike, whose life was turned around by a HUD-VASH program. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.
You know, thank God that program was there. It actually turned my life around. The caseworkers, the therapists, the doctors, the nurses, they all treated you with dignity, respect, and the most important, empathy. They understood. That's something I didn't get in like 29 years since I got out of the Marine Corps. Try to get away the weak things and build up the strengths that you have. And I capitalized on some of my strengths, and I found a job, security guard job. So I knew by the middle of June, I've been working, I've been saving some money, I found an apartment, and then I got interviewed for the HUD-VASH program. It's like Section 8 for veterans. VA, supported housing. The HUD-VASH program was that safety net that I needed.
Sergeant Michelle Garcia served meritoriously in Iraq and has the medals to prove it. Soon after leaving the Navy, Lieutenant Chris Scott found a job, a home, and started a family of his own. Corpsman Richard Stokely took the skills he learned in Vietnam and put them to good use as a paramedic. But soon after leaving the military, each of these veterans fell on hard times and faced homelessness. Even after Michelle lost all her savings, even after Chris wasn't able to pay his mortgage, and even after Richard battled alcoholism for years, they each reached out for help when they needed it most. A simple phone call put them in touch with a trained professional from the Department of Veterans Affairs. That call got Michelle a place to stay until she could afford one of her own, put Chris in touch with employment assistance, and found Richard a substance abuse program. These veterans are success stories not only for how they were able to help others while serving their country, but for how they were able to let others help them. If you know of or are a veteran in need, make the call.
If you enjoyed this program, you can support community television with a generous contribution. Send your tax-deductible donation to CTV, 816 Pacific Avenue, Santa Cruz, California, 95060.